If you just want to jump straight to the bottom.
No, good evening, everyone, and welcome to our Wednesday, April 9th, North Middlesex Council meeting. Welcome to everyone. Call the meeting to order. Disclose your pecuniary interest. If there is any, please forward it through to Alan. Minutes of the previous meetings for March 19th and April 3rd. Any business arising, errors or omissions? Seeing none, need a mover for that. Councillor Keogh, Councillor Nerda, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. So it is a pleasure here tonight that we have a special presentation in the North Middlesex Junior Stars U11 rep team. We've invited them to council because of their accomplishments. They won the league and then they went to the OMHA finals and they got silver at the finals. So we have a presentation for them. Let's give them a hand first before we start. So we're going to ask, we'll call you up by name and we're going to ask you to come around the table, and council and staff are ready either to push you or give you a fist pump or whatever. Congratulate you, and we'll call you up by, just give me a second. The first person to come up, Ben McCall. Here you go. Congratulations. Just want a shirt before we get up like that. You want a picture? Come on. Nice job. Next, Anthony Rollins. So who's the goalie on? Reagan Walker. That first, Councilor Theo would have gave you a Honda car. Philip Rowland. Good job. You got the hockey here now. You got a great team. I love it. I love it. Great. Here we go. One second. One second. Aiden White. Lee Kramer. And who had the most penalties?
Got a 4.
Congratulations. Good job.
Oh, that's all right.
Ollie down.
Yeah.
Must have done pretty well, though. Very well, not pretty well. Good job. The goalies are always the biggest guy.
Oh, the mayor did, but it's the last, the other guys.
Lincoln Morris. Griffin Scott. Thomas Bowles. Brady McCall. I think that was pretty much here, you know. Sort of. I know. You guys have a lot of coaching. Ryan Scott. Jeff Kramer. Hold on. Hey, how you doing? Good. There we go. And we don't even know it's better. No.
Congratulations.
Jason Watson. Last but not least, Jeremy. And congratulations to all the parents, the coaches. It is a lot of work. Are we all getting on here? Come up in here, yeah. Come up in here. So a good year?
Stay on this side of the
Like,
railroad.
are a bunch of you get to play together again next year? Some years, right? Some years. Yes. Some will graduate, but.
Stay on this side of the boards.
Yeah. Don't jump over the boards. Though. Yeah, that's good.
I'll sit here.
Are you guys able to come in here? Get the coaches in, let the coaches in behind. Hey, Lisa, come in here. Come up in here.
Take like 2 steps forward.
This is for a silver. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I told you.
We're going to Hooters.
You give them a Honda. If they won the gold, you'd give them a Honda.
No expense for a whole.
It'd be great.
We won gold, we're going to Hooters, but we shut her down on it.
It's. She's a fussy, aren't they?
We like this all year.
You're the coach that's they're the boss.
Sarah,
You're gonna have to.
Adrian.
Get Sarah's black eye in there.
Yeah.
Gotta get Sarah's black eye in there. It's a hockey picture. It's a hockey picture.
And then Adrian, yeah. Okay, 5.2. I need you to yell over Cove, North Middlesex, loud as you can, okay? Okay, what? So North Middlesex, you're number 1. Go with North Middlesex. Go with North Middlesex.
Oh, God. There we go. A lot of hours. Okay. We'll get coffee or- That's all. We're winning.
Hey, it's always better.
That's why I said Q would give you a car.
You tried.
No, it's. No, that's
Did you hear it? Did you hear it?
Yeah, that's tough for us. It's awesome. Yeah. Lost in the final game.
Arnie, you're gonna have to top that. You're gonna have to top that.
I do have to say that it is one of my favorite times when we can celebrate any youth. And I'm hoping that that picture goes in that youth wall of fame along with some others that we have. And so, oh, but in that youth wall of fame. Okay. All right, we will get back into council business. Committee of Adjustment is our first item. And we ask the council to adjourn regular meeting to sit as Committee of Adjustment. Councillor Irwin, Councillor Daigle, all in favor? Carried, thank you. Our first item is notice of public meeting to consider application B4 2025, located at 1632 Bornish Drive, Sylvan Acres. And I don't know if the representative for that is here. Do you want to come up to sit at the? How are you? Okay, that's fine. Just grab another chair to come up with you. Okay, and Ashley, go ahead when you're ready.
Perfect. Thank you, Chair Ropp. So as noted, the subject lands are located at 1632 Bornish Drive. I will just note in the report, I accidentally had the legal description as East Williams, but it is West Williams. So I'm just updating that on the record. So the lands are located west of Kerwood Road, County Road number 6, and are on the north side of Bornish Drive. Surrounding uses are predominantly agricultural in nature. The purpose and effect of this consent is to facilitate a lot line adjustment between 1632 Bornish Drive, which is the parcel highlighted in yellow, and the parcel in red, and the farmland directly abutting to the east, which is just where my cursor is on right now. So essentially, it's going to take 50 acres from the existing 100-acre farm and merge it with the abutting 50-acre farm. The properties are located in a prime agricultural area, and they are designated as agricultural and containing hazard lands in the North Middlesex official plan. They both are zoned as general agricultural with no site-specific provisions. So the portion of lands to be added are currently vacant and used for agricultural crop production. There is no change of use proposed for the lands. And the retained 50-acre parcel currently contains one single detached dwelling, one cattle barn, which houses approximately 20 cattle, and that's all it's capable of housing. And it also contains various agricultural structures such as a drive shed, straw storage, and grain bins. There is no change of use proposed for that portion of the lands either. So the owners have submitted a letter of intent with their application, which outlines the purpose of this lot line adjustment is to consolidate the added parcel with the abutting agricultural lands to the east to make for a more viable cash cropping operation. They have explored the option of severing the house on the retained parcel as a surplus farm dwelling, but believe this would restrict the farm's original agricultural purpose, and as such, they would like to leave it as a productive farm parcel. The Sauble Bayfield Conservation Authority, Canada Post, the County Engineer, Integris, and the Thames Valley District School Board, as well as the Director of Infrastructure and Operations, have all provided comments that they have no concerns with the application. The Drainage Superintendent in North Middlesex has noted that a reassessment may be required due to the status of a current petition for drainage works, so we have included a condition to that nature. And Emergency Services at the county has provided standard addressing comment requirements to be included as a condition. So no comments were submitted by the public prior to the submission of this report. The Provincial Planning Statement, Middlesex County Official Plan, and North Middlesex Official Plan generally permit for lot line adjustments in prime agricultural areas for legal or technical reasons, with the interpretation of minor left to the local planning authorities. Lot creation is generally not permitted in these prime ag areas, and the applicable policies I have outlined in more detail in my report. So I will note that the county strives to use a solutions-based planning approach. So this proposal will not create a new lot as it's for a lot line adjustment. There's no fundamental change that will result in the number of farm parcels. It's really just redistributing the land from one parcel being 50 acres, the other being 100, to the other being 100 and the other 50. So the lot line adjustment is just essentially reversing the land balance. The properties both have the same general agricultural zoning and permitted uses, and no agricultural land and crop production is proposed to be lost. And as I have noted, there's no changes to the proposed zoning permissions either. So this means that the existing agricultural use will continue to operate as it does today. Additionally, consolidation of farm parcels to maintain a viable agricultural operation is supported in the applicable policies. The owner's nutrient management consultant has confirmed there's no minimum distance separation setback issues that will arise with the existing cattle barn on the retained parcel. And the barn, as I noted, only contains and is only capable of housing approximately 20 cattle currently. So a minor variance will be required as a condition to recognize the lot area of the retained parcel if this consent is approved. And in conclusion, staff are recommending the approval of the lot line adjustment with the relatively standard conditions outlined in my report.
Thank you, Ashley. Is there anything that you would like to add at this time? Oh, sorry. Yeah, you should use a microphone. Put my hand right.
Yeah, no, we'd just like to thank Ashley. We've been dealing with her for a while, so I think most of our comments have been addressed already.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. There was no written submissions, and I do have to ask if there's any comment on this application from the public. Seeing none, questions from the committee? And Councillor Canellison.
Was it on before? Okay. Rick, do you own all 150 acres currently?
Correct. We do own the 100-acre and the 50-acre parcel.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just curious about that. Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, we have a recommendation in front of you. Moved by Councillor Keough, seconded by Councillor Daigle. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Thank you very much. Our next item is a public meeting to consider application B6 2025, located at 44 Wellington Street. Jarrett Knight. I don't know, is there anyone here, applicant here, or do we have Stuart online? Okay. Stuart Finlater is representing the applicants. Can you hear us, Stuart?
Yes, I can.
Okay, welcome. Ashley, when you're ready.
Perfect, thank you. So as noted, the subject lands for this application have an address of 44 Wellington Street, and they're located in the Hamlet settlement area of Carlisle. Surrounding uses are predominantly residential in nature. So the purpose of this consent is to sever one residential infill lot that's currently vacant and approximately 0.55 acres in size. Servicing and access will be required to be addressed as conditions of consent, and the retained parcel will also be approximately 0.55 acres in size. It's essentially just splitting the lot in half from what is there now. And the retained parcel currently contains one single detached dwelling and two accessory structures, which are used for personal storage purposes. The retained parcel is serviced by municipal water and a private septic system, and there is an existing access to Wellington Street. So the Asable Bayfield Conservation Authority, Canada Post, the Middlesex County Engineer, Integris, and the school board have noted no concerns. The drainage superintendent noted that a drainage reassessment will be required, and this has been included as a recommended condition. Additionally, the Director of Infrastructure and Operations has noted that only municipal water exists to service the site and a private septic will be required. A condition of the approval must be that full engineer drawings and reports to support servicing of the existing and severed lot be completed to the satisfaction of the municipality. This will include confirming the adequacy and capacity of the existing water main to support this additional infill. Any required upgrades or servicing connections, etc., are solely the responsibility of the owner. One public comment was received by Heather Zavitz, a neighboring landowner at 50 Wellington Street, prior to the submission of this report. She did note that she is generally supportive of growth in Carlisle, but has concerns with the adequacy of the water infrastructure, particularly as it pertains to water pressure and reliability. The full written submission was attached to council for their review, but staff are satisfied that this concern will be addressed with the required condition for engineering drawings and reports to support the servicing of the lot. From a policy perspective, the provincial planning statement, the Middlesex County official plan, and the North Middlesex official plan support infill lot creation for low-density residential in the Hamlet settlement area of Carlisle, subject to servicing and compatibility. The proposal in staff's opinion would more efficiently utilize a vacant portion of a residential lot and is generally consistent with the existing neighborhood lot fabric and configuration. No change of zoning is required to facilitate the severance, as the proposed new lot will well exceed the minimum required lot area and frontage requirements. So in conclusion, staff are of the opinion that the proposed lot creation is appropriate, is consistent with the provincial planning statement, and conforms to both the county official plan and the local official plan, provided the recommended conditions in my report are included and addressed. And I would just note that these conditions are relatively standard for a settlement area infill lot.
Thank you, Ashley. Stuart, your comments?
Yes, thank you, Your Worship, members of council. I have reviewed Ashley's report, and I have no concerns with the 22 conditions that are attached to it, and I would simply ask the committee to approve the application as applied for. I'd be happy to answer any questions if there are any. Thank you.
Thank you, Stuart. I understand there's no written submissions on this one.
There was just the one received from the neighboring landowner to do with the water pressure, but generally supportive of growth in the area.
Okay. All right, thank you. Public comments is, I have to ask again, any comments from the public on this? Seeing none, comments or questions from council or committee? Deputy Mayor Hodgins.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's more just asking for information more than anything else. Is that an unopened road allowance that's immediately side where the red square? Is that what that is, or is it an easement? I don't think I saw it written in there.
Ashley.
Thank you. So it appears that it would be an open road allowance, but we'd certainly want to confirm with the county legal department that that is the legal status of that. When you do look at the lotting fabric of Carlisle, that is quite likely what it is, but we can confirm with legal. Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions on this? Seeing no other questions, we have a recommendation in front of us. Counselor Nerda, Counselor Irwin, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Thanks, Stuart.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Our next item is a notice of public meeting to consider B5 2025 at 111 Craig Street, 1263119 Ontario, Inc. And Larry Rump. Representative coming up. And is this Patrick? Sorry. Okay. Thank you. Ashley, when you're ready.
Thank you, Chair Rob. So the subject lands have an address of 111 Craig Street and are located in the urban settlement area of Elsa Craig. Surrounding uses are predominantly residential, industrial, and commercial in nature. The purpose of the severance is to sever approximately 0.58 acres with an existing one-story 8-unit apartment building from the remainder of the property. No change of use is currently proposed, and the severed parcel is serviced by municipal water and sanitary and has an existing access to Craig Street. Service locations are required to be confirmed as a condition of the consent. Should any relocation be required so that they are wholly within the severed parcel, that would be at the owner's expense to do that. The retained parcel is approximately 1.54 acres in size, and it does contain one industrial structure that Classic Auto Upholstery operates out of. Municipal water and sanitary service connections and access, including any required road upgrades, particularly to Craig Street, will be required to be addressed prior to a holding zone being removed off of the property in the future. The owner has noted that they do not intend to develop the retained parcel at this point in time. So staff are of the opinion that allowing the lands to be severed and sold to a developer who can advance residential development in alignment with our applicable policies and standards and ensure an efficient use of the land within the settlement area is advantageous. So Integris, the drainage superintendent, and the Thames Valley District School Board have noted no concerns. No comments were submitted by the public prior to the submission of my report. The Asable Bayfield Conservation Authority noted no concerns with the proposed severance. They did provide comments as it pertains to the zoning bylaw amendment portion, but right now we're strictly talking about the severance. And I will discuss that in more detail at the next report. Emergency services from the county did provide standard addressing requirements, and then Canada Post did note that any future development would be serviced through a centralized mail delivery system like a community mailbox. So the Director of Infrastructure and Operations did note that he recommends a hold be put on the property through zoning. That's not to be lifted until servicing capacity is available, servicing is approved. The retained parcel has its own individual set of services, suitable access is available, and that any works for site remediation is completed and approved by the ministry. So the provincial planning statement, the Middlesex County official plan, and the North Middlesex official plan generally encourage residential intensification within settlement areas, and they do prioritize growth and development to be located within these areas. So I will note that a concept plan for the retained parcel was submitted with the application, which did show access, servicing, and stormwater plans on it. Additionally, the record of site condition from 2013 was submitted. So staff do recognize that this is a high-level preliminary submission and not necessarily the actual development plans for the retained parcel. But we have noted that these intricacies will be required to be addressed to the satisfaction of the municipality prior to the hold being removed from the property in the future. And that's more to do with the zoning. Right now, I'm just talking about the severance part. So standard conditions for a consent of this nature were provided in my council report. I would just note that the agents on file have requested that a holding provision condition be included and that hold encapsulates conditions 17, 18, 20, 21, and then the Craig Street upgrade portion of condition number 11. So this change would essentially require that these conditions be cleared prior to the hold removal as opposed to within the 2 years provided to fulfill the conditions of the severance. So the Director of Infrastructure and Operations and I have gone through these changes with the agents, and we're of the opinion that the change is minor and we don't have concerns with going that route. So I have attached a copy, the received revised conditions, to an email to the committee earlier, just so you have them in advance. I also do have them printed off if you would like to review them before you make the decision. But it effectively doesn't change the requirements for the future development. It just puts the onus of these obligations onto the future developer as opposed to the current landowner. And then, as I noted, I'll touch on the zoning component of the report once we move out of the Committee of Adjustment and into Council. But strictly as it pertains to the severance, my recommendation is that the proposal is appropriate, consistent with the provincial planning statement, and in conformity with the Middlesex County and North Middlesex official plans. So I am recommending that you grant the consent with the revised conditions that I provided to you earlier today.
Thank you, Ashley. Patrick, anything you'd like to write down? Comments?
No comments right now. I just want to thank staff for their work on this application and processing it, and the last minute cooperation to work with us to amend or revise some of the conditions and looping them into the holding zone. We've had a chance to review the staff report and are in agreement with the recommendation to grant the consent. And we do also agree with the recommended amended conditions, and we're here to respond to any questions. I'm also here with Jay McGuffin, who's the president and principal planner, Monty Brown Planning Consultants. Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you. I have to ask again, any comments from the public on this? Seeing none, questions, comments from council? No? Okay. We have a recommendation in front of us, moved by Councillor Irwin, seconded by Councillor Nerda. All,
Your worship, I may suggest that we put as amended onto the proposed resolution.
okay. Is that agreement with you? Okay, thank you. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Thank you. We do need to adjourn from the Committee of Adjustment and join into public. Councillor Irwin, Councillor Daigle, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. And I see you're staying for the next one. So public meeting to consider application ZBA 4/2025 located at 111 Craig Street. The same ownership, and it's Larry Rump and Patrick. Once again, you're representing. Okay, Ashley.
Perfect. Thank you, Mayor Ropp. So as noted, this zoning bylaw amendment is to facilitate the severance just spoken about. The zoning bylaw amendment is required as a condition of that severance. And the purpose of this evening is to strictly hold the public meeting for the zoning, gather feedback, and then we will bring an analysis and recommendation with the draft bylaw at a future council date. So the subject lands are currently zoned residential density 3, exception 2, and industrial exception 2. The severed parcel is proposed to have the existing zone provisions undergo a minor technical amendment to remove the permission for a maximum of 4 single-story apartment buildings and replace it with 1 single-story apartment building. Just referring to the existing building there. The retained parcel is proposed to be rezoned from a residential density 3 exception 2 zone and the industrial exception 2 to a residential density exception 3 zone to permit for townhouse dwellings in addition to the uses already permitted in that zone, to permit for a reduced lot frontage as a result of the severance. So they'll have a 24-meter lot frontage on Craig Street, whereas 30 meters is required. And for various site-specific zoning setback relief for future residential development on the site. In addition to agency comments provided above for the consent, the Asable Bayfield Conservation Authority did note that they would require additional information to support the requested setback relief, primarily as it pertains to the interior side yard setbacks for the portion that's abutting 105 Craig Street. Just this northerly portion of the property is regulated by the Conservation Authority, so we'll need to have some additional discussions with them before we bring the zoning back. Staff generally have no concerns with the requested amendment for the severed parcel, as it will just appropriately reflect what is existing there on the site now. And it's largely technical in nature. And we are supportive of including townhomes as a permitted use on the retained parcel and recognizing the reduced lot frontage. We would like to have some additional conversation with the agent regarding site-specific setback reduction relief, as well as addressing ABCA's comments. And we do note that a future purchaser is not necessarily bound to the current preliminary concept plan, so that's something that we'll be discussing farther with the site-specific relief as well. So my recommendation for the zoning portion of this evening is that this report be received for information, and as noted, we will come back with a recommendation at a future date.
Thank you. Patrick, once again, comments?
No comments, thanks. Just here to respond to any questions that there may be of the public or of the committee.
Okay, thank you. Any comments from the public on this application? On this file, I should say, not application. Comments or questions from council? Councilor Irwin.
Simply, your mayor, conversations I've had with members of the community who've seen this application, they're looking forward to potential residential development on the site.
Other questions, comments? Yeah, I concur with you. I think others are looking for that too. Councilor Canellison.
Thank you, Mayor Rob. My questions for Ashley, if I may. Ashley, being somewhat familiar with this area, there's no brownfield here in this particular lot configuration, is there?
Thank you. Through Mayor Ropp. So there was a record of site condition completed in 2013 for the development of that original apartment building. So as a condition of the hold removal, what we're thinking is that we would require an update to that, just to confirm that that existing upholstery structure and any additional remediation works is to the satisfaction of the ministry. So there is certainly the potential there, but we would need an update to that record before we can comment.
So I'll direct my question then to the applicant. Since this process seems to be something so that this property can be put on the market, would you be conducting the to verify that there is no brownfield there before it goes on the market, or would that be up to the purchaser?
So my understanding is that the record of site condition that was completed in 2013. It predates my involvement on this project, but I believe that it covered the entirety of the site to allow for the previous proposal, which was for 4 apartment buildings on the site. To Ashley's point, the record of site condition matter would be a holding, part of the holding. And at the time that this lands are purchased or want to be developed in the future, the onus would be on the owner of the severed parcel or the retained parcel to address that matter.
The current owner.
Depending on at the time the lands come forward for development, whether that be the current owner or if they are sold to a new owner, then the new owner who comes forward with a development application would have to address that matter.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, comments on this? Ashley?
I was just going to add too, I think that when we incorporate it as part of the hold provision, that will show up on the zoning. And so hopefully that will signal to future purchasers more right off the bat, as opposed to pulling like a title search or that sort of thing of that requirement.
I seem to recall, and I don't know if you do, Mayor Rupp, but there were some concerns, I think, at the time when the original building was constructed, as I recall, but I'm not specifically clear.
Well, we know what was there prior to that in the years past, but yeah. Questions, comments? Seeing none, we have a recommendation to accept this for information. Councilor Irwin, Deputy Mayor Hodgins, all in favor? Carrie, thank you. Thank you very much. So our next item, we go into department reports, and I'm wondering if we can't move up. Well, I almost made it. Sorry.
5-6.
Oh. I was almost at a journey. You're right. I'm sorry. Public media consider application ZBA 5/2025 located at 3722 Wardell Drive. And Marlene, are you coming up? Are you coming up? Wrangley's are here for this. I am sorry I went by it. Sorry. I apologize. Ashley, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Mayor Ropp. So as noted, the subject lands have a municipal address of 3722 Wardell Drive, and they're located on the north side of Wardell Drive, east of Petty Street, which is County Road number 19. The lands are approximately 100 acres in size, and surrounding uses are predominantly agricultural and rural residential in nature. The purpose and effect of the temporary use zoning bylaw amendment application is to continue to allow the approximately 1,000 square foot granny flat on an agricultural parcel of land for a period of time not exceeding 3 years. No concerns were noted by the Conservation Authority, Canada Post, the County Engineer Integris, the Director of Infrastructure and Operations, or the Drainage Superintendent, nor by the school board, and no public comments were submitted prior to the submission of my report. So the Planning Act does allow for municipalities to pass a temporary use zoning bylaw for a period not exceeding 3 years to allow for a structure such as this one that would otherwise be prohibited under the existing zoning bylaw. Extensions of not more than 3 years each can be authorized by council. And I would just note that a granny flat is currently defined differently than additional residential unit. And it is permitted in the Middlesex County official plan and North Middlesex official plan as a temporary use, but we expect to see this updated, and I would expect that you'll see some type of transition regulations come forward in the future to convert these from temporary to permanent structures. Those provisions are to be determined. As council is aware, those changes were made by the provincial planning statement implementation at the end of October 2024. And I would just note that we do not yet know the exact transition regulations that the councils will adopt. But my recommendation is that council receives this report for information and that the implementing bylaw to approve it for an additional 3-year period be read a first, second, and third and final time this evening.
Thanks, Ashley. Was there anything you'd like to add at this time? I know, I understand that. I even saw you there. I knew why you were here and I still missed it in the program, so. I understand. Okay, and unless Arnie has something that he'd like to know. Okay, questions from counselor? Comments? Counselor Canellison.
Actually, I think you answered my question, but I'm going to ask you anyway, because I already made a comment here and you defined that a granny flat is different from an additional residential unit. Can these folks apply to have it classified as an additional residential unit? So they don't have to come back and see us every 3 years?
Thank you. Yes, I entirely agree with the direction that that's going. I would say with these new provisions that the province has allowed us to use in the prime agricultural areas, this is hopefully the last renewal that they need to do. And then we can work towards transitioning this to a permanent structure and they will not have to come back for renewals in the future.
I'm sure you're looking forward to that. Exactly. Thank you.
I don't think we are for a shuttle service yet, but it's something we can always talk about. Any other questions? No? We have a recommendation in front of us. Counselor Daigle, Counselor. What's your name again? Oh, sorry, Counselor Keogh. All in favor? Carrie, thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, okay, now we'll try it again. Department reports. I'm going to change that and we're going to go to 6.3 and that's a report from the chief building official for Arnie to come up and do his presentation. Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thanks for having me tonight. I'm here today to present to you the fourth quarter and 2024 year-end building report. We are in the first week of April, and I apologize, a couple hiccups getting it on the agenda, but we're here today, and they say good things come to those who wait. So this is a very good news report of the 5 municipalities that we do building inspection services for. This is the most positive report I get to present for year-end of last year. So I'll jump right into it and then I'll take some questions. Feel free to shout out or wait to the end. So generally with these reports, I'll compare it to last year's year-end report, and 2024 was a much stronger year than 2023. What we've seen, residential starts, so we totaled 57, up from 26, and construction values up to 75 million, up from 42 million in 2023. So in the report, I provide several tables. And I guess I'll start with the first table. Table 1 is a brief summary of the activities in our service agreements, our 5 municipalities. So you can see how North Middlesex compares to the others in our group. Generally, overall for the county, we've seen permit numbers dwindle. 2023, we had 962 building permits. Last year, we had 811 in our combined municipalities. So North Middlesex definitely bucked the trend and carried a good load to residents in the county for new homes. And even construction value, actually construction value is pretty on par with last year across our 5 service areas. Second table report is a summary of what we saw in the fourth quarter for permits and also a year end and a comparison of the year end numbers for 2023. Again, singles, you'll see 39 singles up from 25, 16 townhouses up from 0, and a couple semis that we've not seen before. So again, very strong numbers. 172 permits again, up from 151. The third table outlines historical numbers in North Middlesex from 2018 up to 2024, about the last 7 years or so. So you can see how last year compared to previous years for permits issued, permit fees collected, development charges, and construction values. And again, last year was the strongest that we've seen in the last 7 years. Table 4 compares the same years, but just number of dwelling units created. Again, 57, which is nearly double what we've seen over the last 7 years. And the fifth table outlines kind of where we see development occurring in North Middlesex. We compare Park Hill, Ailsa Craig, Carlisle, and other areas. And you can see Ailsa Craig stands out. From 2023, they had 6 new homes. In Ailsa Craig last year, they had 44 new homes. And of all of the settlement areas we have in our 5 service areas, including Lucan and Ilderton and Kilworth and Glencoe, Ailsa Craig outperformed all for number of new dwellings. So it's something you should be very proud of here, that it's attracting residents, and it's you have a good, strong builders group there and developer. They're an aggressive bunch. So that is a summary of the report in the year. I'm open to any questions council may have.
All right, thanks. Are any questions from council? Comments? Councilor Ellison?
I have 2 questions for you, Arnie, if I may. I found it really interesting that the Middlesex Center had more permits issued, more units built, and yet the values of North Middlesex seems to be higher. Is that because they had cultural buildings, or is that because our houses are more elaborate?
Yeah, so through the mayor, sometimes it's very difficult to explain.
Okay.
It could be a long-term care home. Southwest Middlesex, for example, had I think it's a $15 or $21 million long-term care home that sort of skews the numbers with that one permit. We'll find that pattern from time to time. I can do a little research if you like. I can get back to you with what stands out, but it's a tough one to explain how they
It's
work
not
out.
critical, but my next question may be. So I also sit on another board, and we've had situations where there's been a structure erected without a permit and no inspections completed. My question for you is, if such a structure existed, and if the roofs were to collapse and someone would be injured or, heaven forbid, killed, would the municipality be liable for any injuries or deaths, given that the municipality is responsible for permits and inspections?
So there was a permit issued, but no inspections.
There's no permit issued
No
and no inspections completed.
Okay. Well, it's up to a lawyer to give you the final interpretation. If this happens next door to us and we know it's ongoing without a permit, some would say that we have a responsibility to knock on the door and say, you need a permit. If it's something that we don't know of, legitimately, we don't know of this building going up and it collapses, I don't see how we could be responsible for that building. We didn't build it, we didn't design it, we didn't approve it or inspect it. So I think we'd have minimal responsibility. But if we know of it and we turn a blind eye, then we'd have some explaining to do, I think. If that helps.
Not really, but
No,
I'll accept your answer.
It's a good test for the lawyers, I suppose. I think municipalities can always be found partially responsible for things, but if it's not something that we approved or knew of, then I don't know how we would be responsible for it.
I'm leaning towards getting a staff report on that question, because I'd like to know more details on it. What are your thoughts on that, Mayor Rob?
Are you requesting that,
I am requesting that.
Carolyn?
So in asking that question, are you asking a specific location or generally? If a structure is built without a building permit, what is our responsibility and liability? Is that what your question, or with regards to a specific situation?
I think it's an ongoing situation. I think if we drive through the countryside and we look at some of our rural areas, we look back at the end of the farm, we see all kinds of structures back there that have been erected without any permits or inspections. That's my question.
So it's more general.
So it's a general question that if a structure is built without a building permit, without our knowledge, what is our responsibility? So I certainly can reach out to legal counsel and I'm sure, and speaking with Arnie, we could probably jointly put something together.
Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Irwin.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you, two questions as well. On table 2, you show agricultural buildings, and we saw number of permits in fourth quarter 8, total of 35. Are we seeing growth in that as well as residential from year over year? I don't see any year over year comparison for agricultural buildings.
Yeah, through the mayor to the councillor. We don't, yeah, we're correct. We have a year. Last year we had 35 permits. The previous year we had 39. We find that agriculture has stayed fairly strong. Even this year, agriculture is very strong in our municipalities. How it compares to past, I think it's right on target, right on par practically.
Okay, I'm asking on behalf of our Economic Development Committee that question. And then I know this is the fourth quarter of 2024, but we're through the first quarter of 2025. Not to put you on the spot, but is the trend continuing in terms of growth and with all the challenges we're facing in our current environment? Do we see the same trends?
Yeah, through the mayor, we've had a good first quarter throughout our service areas. There's some hesitancy right now. There's some uncertainty, I guess, with the impact of tariffs and how that's going to impact construction. I was speaking to a couple builders today, and a lot of materials are purchased in Canada, Canadian-made wood, for example, concrete. But some things are imported. It'd be carpet or siding. So there's still some uncertainties about how that's going to impact the market. But right now we're seeing it's generally healthier than last year, the start. Ailsa Craig was very successful last year. I think they had a few that were ready to go early on, and a few that came in before the end of the year with development charge increases and fee increases. So Ailsa Craig, you might not see the same pace early this year, but I think as the year goes on, I think you'll see it catch up. But all in all, I think it's going to be another decent year, at least as good as last year, if not better. And if the councillor wishes, I'm happy to do a year over year study for agricultural buildings. It would take me 5 minutes and I can send you a lot more detail if you want to know previous years and how agricultural compares.
I think our Economic Development Committee would appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Carolyn.
I apologize. With regards to the previous question and request for report, I'm just wondering if I could get a motion of council, just because that is involving contacting our solicitor and there is cost associated with it. So I probably should get a motion from council.
Thank you. Okay, so you made that a motion and a seconder for that. Councillor Keel? In favor of that? That is carried.
Thank you.
Okay. Other questions, Ronnie? Councillor Keel?
Thank you, Mayor Rob. Arnie, looking forward to new permits that are coming through for agricultural buildings. I guess maybe this is just more of a comment. They are not going to be for new construction. They're just, however, going to be for replacement after the snowfall issue we had back in barn collapses and whatnot, cover all shelters and that kind of thing over this past winter.
Yeah, through the mayor to the councillor, we have seen both. I have a couple major new livestock buildings coming. I believe one is in two are maybe in North Middlesex. I've also spoken with a number of builders that are looking at buildings that have collapsed, and we're looking at some repairs there. Some of those I don't think have come in yet. What I've seen right now is new construction, not to replace the old yet.
Other questions? No other questions? Thank you very much. Oh, Councillor Daigle, thank you very much for your report, Arnie. Accepted. Oh, you got another question. Okay, moved by Councillor Irwin, seconded by Councillor Daigle. All in favor? Carried. Sorry. We're going back to the first report now, and that is, Sam, that's yours, and that is on the transfer station report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To the mayor and members of council, Brandon and myself are here this evening to present report DIO 17 of 2025, which provides an update on our transfer station operations and seeks council's direction on two key matters. Matter one being the disposal of the existing mulch stockpile that we have on site. And then matter two being future operational model, including the potential partnership that's been presented in the report with Tri Recycling that's been explored. So a bit of background and context from the report. The transfer station is located at 395 Victoria Street in Park Hill, and it's been in operation since around the 1930s and was officially designated as a transfer station in 2013. The site currently accepts a range of materials, but generally excludes several items such as hazardous waste, drywall, shingles, and household garbage. And current operations, rely on multiple vendors, most without formal agreements in place. Recent improvements that staff have been working through or have already implemented include updates to the fee schedule for the 2025 calendar year that better aligns with industry standards and normals. We've made changes to the payment system in terms of upgrading from cash only to debit credit, which is now fully done and in place. And then we've also been increasing staffing levels just a bit over the last little while just to deal with both the fee increases and the change of payment methods, just to make sure that those changes go through properly, among a number of other operational coverage changes that we're working on. So we're here tonight through this report to seek direction again on the existing mulch stockpile, noting that staff recommended option one as presented in the report, which includes relocation of that stockpile to our 295 Victoria Street area, which is open and which would allow for free public pickup. And also on the potential partnership with Tri Recycling, like I mentioned, noting that this would consolidate all of our transfer station operations other than the e-waste, but it would obviously come at a higher cost compared to current fragmented vendors, as noted in the report. A partnership such as this would obviously provide long-term value in terms of efficiency, and sustainability, but obviously come at higher cost to the municipality. So staff recommends three things that are in front of you in terms of this report, and the three recommendations are that council receives report DIO 17 of 2025 regarding the transfer station process updates and Tri Recycling partnership for information, and that council directs staff on their preferred method of mulch disposal with the current mulch stockpile, and that council directs staff on the preferred method of operation moving forward, which includes remaining with the current vendors or formalizing an agreement with Tri Recycling for waste management services at the municipality's transfer station. And if we did do that, we would bring an agreement back to council at a later meeting. So between Brandon and myself, we're happy to answer any questions that anyone might have.
Okay, thanks, Sam. Questions from council? You want to start? Adrian, Councilor Nelson?
Thank you, Mayor Rob. One of the questions I have for you, Sam, is can individuals not just go to Tri Recycling's yard on Highbury Highbury, no, it's not Highbury, Clark Road, and just drop stuff off now on their own without us having a commitment with them?
Through your worship to the councillor, yes, they absolutely could.
Okay. My other question for you is that, and we chatted briefly this week, but I need a clear understanding because a lot of people have been calling me about this. The new fees for their transfer station is a $15 entry fee. So if someone were to go with the pickup truck and they have to pay to unload what's in the truck, so it's $15 just to go through the gate and then an additional amount to unload it?
Through your worship to the councillor, only if what they have in the back of that truck is anything but yard waste. If it's just yard waste, like leaves and brush, all they're getting charged is the bare minimum $15 charge.
So what if they want to use one of the bins and they're disposing of metal, let's say metal and plastics, et cetera, et cetera. So it would be $15 plus the tipping fee.
Through your worship to the councillor, that's correct. Yes, it would be the $15 plus the additional charge of what they're bringing in.
Okay. So Brandon, are you going to report back to council? You see stuff alongside the road?
Through your worship and council, I can do that if that's what council wishes.
Well, I'm anticipating we're going to see a lot of tires. Because there'll be a charge for tires. Well, currently there isn't, but now there is a charge for tires, correct?
Do we have an answer? There is not a charge for tires right now. Yeah.
Yeah, Through your
Right.
worship, the council, there's not currently. There should be, because we do have the minimum charge that is theoretically supposed to have been applied, but historically it's looked like it's not been charged in many cases.
Still $15 to get in to drop the tires off.
Through your worship to the councillor, that's correct.
Okay,
yes.
thank you.
Okay. Other questions, other comments? Counselor Keo?
Thank you, Mayor Rob. Sam and Brandon, I guess, the point I'm trying to make, or the question I want to ask here is, if we enter into, an agreement with Tri Recycling, we are going to have to pay for tire disposal. If we continue to do what we're doing now, we do not pay for tire disposal. Is that correct?
Through your worship to the councillor, yes, we do have to pay for tire disposal. Even if we remain under current operations, we pay for it now and we would have to continue to pay for it.
Do we have, menu pricing on that? Like $5 for a passenger car, $20 for a tractor tire or anything like that?
Through your worship to the councillor, not in current operations, no. Under the new fee schedule, yes, it's captured, but previous to, no.
So we have been paying for tire disposal, like we've been paying on our end?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions? Counselor Irwin?
Thank you, Worship. I did ask this question previously to the Director of Infrastructure. And I'm curious, the tri-recycling is more money, but we don't have an actual dollar figure at this time, but it's a wider range of material. So it's hard to make a decision until we know exactly, when you say it's going to be more, how much more? Because we're going to be able to do more.
Through your worship to the councillor, that is correct. If we do go towards Tri Recycling, we will be able to accept other materials that we don't offer now, such as shingles or drywall, for example. So certainly the expectation is that we would hopefully see an uptake from residential builders, for example, that would want to use the service. That's just our best guess. Would they use it or not? It's obviously hard to predict. So again, if we did go with something like this, obviously the hope is that we would see that uptake and maybe that would somewhat capture the increase in fees that we would see, but that's obviously not a guarantee.
Correct. Okay. Follow up?
A simple follow-up, Your Worship, is I don't have a dollar-to-dollar comparison, so it's hard to make a informed decision. I mean, I'd like to have more information to see exactly how much more this would cost.
Okay, so exactly what are you requesting? Just instead, it's just stating, what are you looking
Well,
for?
what is the cost of the status quo with the new tippage fees, and what would be the cost if we entered a contract with Tri?
Okay, I just wanted that to be clear what you were looking for.
Yeah,
Sam?
through your worship to the council, that's something that we could certainly easily provide. It would obviously not include anything to do with projecting, different materials and what that would bring, but a direct cost to cost, that's easy enough to provide.
Okay. Other questions, comments? I don't know, we have, Counselor, when you're making it quite plain, you'd like to see this deferred until we get more information on finance.
Happy to do the mulch piece, Your Worship. I'd
Okay.
like to defer the rest until we have the additional information, if we can split the motion.
Well, there are three parts to this.
So we can leave part 3 perhaps.
It would be part 3 that we would leave, correct? If that's what council wishes. So you're just talking about the first two, correct? Are you making that a motion
Yeah, I'll make that.
to pass the first two?
Pass the first 2 going with option 1 as recommended by
And-
staff, and defer part 3 until we get additional information.
Okay, do we have a seconder for that? Counselor Daigle? Is there discussion on that? Go ahead.
Second part of that motion, what are?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just for clarification, the second part of that motion, from Councilor Irwin, can I just have some clarification? So are we voting on the first one and the second one? And deferring the third?
Yes, deferring the decision on status quo or Tri Recycling till we have some additional financial information.
Okay. You're clear with that?
Yes, Your Worship. So it's this regular, the first resolution, that's still retained. The second one is that we're gonna go with option one. And then we're not doing this, the second, like the third item.
Third, we're not doing what we're going to defer to the, yeah. For more information, financial information. Okay. In favor of that? Carried. The next one is the Queen Street Water Main Phase 1 project update.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To the mayor and members of council, I'm here tonight to present report DIO 18 of 2025, which provides an update on the Queen Street Phase 1 water main construction project in Elsa Craig that spans from West Corner Drive to Elsa Craig Main Street. The scope of the project generally includes replacement of the 200 mm water main with a 300 mm water main, sidewalk works, and full road and pavement rehabilitation. The contractor on the project is Burnham Excavating Limited, with SEMA Plus being procured to complete the contract administration and construction observation services. So construction on the project began in late 2024 with substantial performance achieved in January of 2025. A deficiency walkthrough is completed late March of 2025, noting that the following works are still required from Burnham. That includes sidewalk work, base asphalt issues that need to be rectified, surface asphalt installation, curb replacement, and then landscaping and boulevard restoration works. But Burnham is actually returning to site as of today, and the schedule that I was provided has a hopeful completion date by the end of May. So as far as schedule goes, the project will hopefully be completed entirely by the end of May. Financial information that was shown within the report indicates that the project is anticipated to finish well under the previously approved council budget of $4 million. Staff will continue to monitor completion and finances of the project as the project progresses towards full completion. So the recommendations carried in this report in front of you this evening are that council receives report DIO 18 of 2025 regarding the Queen Street Water Main Phase 1 project update for information. And I know the next report's on the same matter, but I'm happy to answer questions now or at the next
Yeah,
report as well.
let's on this one. It's just on this part. Any questions on this part from Councilor Canellison?
Thank you, Sam. My question for you is the additional fees for the 5 weeks increase in construction time. I guess I'm kind of curious how the municipality is responsible for the length because it took longer for these people to do their job. Well, so why are we responsible for that?
Through your worship to the councillor, it's an interesting question. Obviously, it was put forward that SEMA put a change order forward to the municipality for those reasons. And obviously before my time, it was approved. So I understand what you're saying. I guess I would just suggest that it was approved at the time, largely because SEMA sold it as their original proposal didn't include the time, nor did they have the cost to carry on their services, and thereby it needed to be extended.
So if I understand you correctly, their inadequacy is costing us an extra $42,000.
Through your worship to the councillor, I would say no comment.
Thank you.
You know, you're not a lawyer, right?
No, but I'm a
He's sitting over
taxpayer.
here. Okay, any other questions on this report? No other questions on this report? We do have a recommendation on this report alone by itself. Councilor Daigle? Councilor Canellison? All in favor? Carried. All right, now the second part of this.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and to members of council. I am here to present report DIO 19 of 2025 that presents a received change order from Burnham that was previously discussed and requested for works on the project that included a wider asphalt shoulder, which Burnham has provided to us, noted as contemplated change order number 5. It is noted that this shoulder would not be classified as a formal pedestrian walkway or bike path, but would likely be used as such, which obviously carries safety and liability concerns. No additional engineering is required as it would just be an extension of the currently proposed roadway surface. So if council wishes to proceed, staff required direction on both A, how we're going to finance it, and then if we do choose to go forward and how we're going to finance it, whether it would be through use of reserve funds or pursuance of debt financing. So staff recommendations in front of you on this report this evening are that council receives report DIO 19 of 2025 regarding the Queen Street Water Main Phase 1 asphalt shoulder change order for information, and that council provides direction on the attached contemplated change order number 5, including how it will be financed should it proceed.
Thank you, Sam. Questions on this? If you want, I will just make comment to it. I believe this came up and kind of became a runaway horse on us. A while ago, we talked about having a walking path, and I don't care what terminology we use, but it's just a walking path, not connected to the road off the side. And the next thing we knew, it got engineered into this. And so I don't believe this is a safe opportunity here. The cars coming into town from there and having one shoulder like that. I believe the walking path away from the road is much safer. Plus, it's not $500,000. I'm personally not seeing value for money here, and I am seeing a potential danger. I know there is danger there now, people walking, but to put a walking path there like that doesn't make sense to me. And the cost doesn't make sense to me either for this type. I think it's something that we should do after ourselves if we can, just a pathway. However, whether it's chips, whether it's stone dust, whatever to be worked, but it certainly doesn't cost that kind of money, but it would suffice for the same thing and possibly safer. Right. But that's my comment. So Councilor Knellison, and then Councilor Daigle.
Well, Mayor Ropp, I totally agree with you because you echoed my thoughts exactly. I don't see being an individual, and I think there's other members of council who walk alongside the road. I don't think it matters how wide the pavement is going to be. You're always at risk when you walk along a road. And I prefer to see a walking path off in the ditch somewhere, quite a distance from their pavement myself.
Okay, Councilor Daigle.
I was ready to put forward a motion to say that we not proceed with this and that we look at working it out in-house, but don't drop the project. We still need to look at a walking trail, but not attached to the road.
Okay. Are you making that a motion? Can I get a seconder for that? Are you going to second that? Councilor Irwin? Okay,
I will
Councilor Irwin, second. Now, discussion on that motion before we go any farther. Councilor Irwin.
I second the motion with the understanding that we will proceed with the walking trail and not just study it and drop the project in future, because this is the opportunity to do it. The community is anticipating something happening here. And if you actually walk that part of the road or lived on that road, you can see just how many people use it on a daily basis. It's very well used. So I understand the safety concerns, but I would not want to see this dropped in any sense.
Oh, I get that understanding. I get that for sure. Any other questions, comments on that? So you have a motion. Do you have that motion?
Your worship, I do not have that motion.
No.
Okay. Okay.
The motion I'd like to put forward is that we do not proceed with what is planned here, but that we do proceed internally with us looking at a walking trail and figuring out, but not attached to the road for safety reasons.
A separate
And
project.
possibly through our own staff doing it,
A separate project.
a separate project.
Okay.
Can I suggest, instead of looking at, we use different terminology to the mover, maybe developing?
You're good with that change? Sam.
Through your worship, I have no objections to the motion. I just want to temper expectations through what the residents are expecting here. While that's something that I think we can certainly do, I hope the expectation is that it will obviously take some time. And I certainly don't think it's going to be something that's going to be done this year unless we change priorities. So I just want to temper expectations there, that I'm happy to keep it moving forward with staff, but it will take some time to work through and then obviously get properly scheduled and budgeted and so on and so forth.
Sam, could you just come back then with an estimate, like a staff report with an estimate of when we can do that? I think that would be just so that council has some language to be able to talk to people when they request it. Right?
Yeah, to your worship, that's certainly something we can do, or I can easily enough just say that that's engineering something that we could even work through internally this year and table it as part of budget for next year. If it's as simple as that, or I can bring an extra report back, whatever the desire is.
I see our treasurer really nodding his head to that point. I think there is a budget issue to this part of it, so I think that's very reasonable. Councilor Irwin? Okay, all right, in favor of that motion, do you have that? Okay, it is carried. Thank you. Our next one is a report from Economic Development. Felicia, are you doing that? Community Guide?
Thank you, Mayor Rob, Mayor and members of council. The report in front of you is just regarding the 2025 edition of the Community Guide. And it is my recommendation that the report be accepted for information and that council authorizes staff to publish the 2025 edition of the Community Guide. And I am here for any questions.
Questions from council? Councilor Canellis and then Councilor Nerda.
I want to congratulate our economic development person Felicia, because this is a very good report and I've been looking for this for quite some time. I'm looking at trails. You haven't got Joni's Woods in here, Felicia.
I can update that for you.
Councilor Nerda?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to thank you, Felicia, on this. It's very well done.
Thank you.
Is that the toughest question she's going to get? Councilor Irwin,
It's a question, Your Worship. I see we're printing 1,000 copies, and I think it's a good idea to have printed copies. We're not printing 1,000 copies?
So 1,000 copies were printed in
We're
2024.
not printing any copies.
We are printing copies. It is just, we need to see budget approval, what, number we're gonna go with.
So my question is, many people are not ecologically savvy. Then how many copies are we printing and how will we distribute them?
So through the mayor to the councillor, we carried a line item in the budget. Obviously, prices are changing daily with the current economic situation. We are going to print to our budget limit, and then we are going to strategically place them at dentist office, dental offices, doctor's offices, basically common places throughout both Elsa Craig, Park Hill, and any other wards that have places where people sit. So.
All right, thank you. Any other questions? Any other questions? No other questions? All right, we have a recommendation in front of us. Moved by Councilor Nerda, seconded by Councilor Daigle. All in favor? Carried. You know, it was funny that when I was at the city county liaison meeting, the city councilor made mention of that fact that we don't know what's going on outside of the city. Maybe we could send that report through to the city to show what we have to offer. With Joni's Woods included, of course.
I think we could send it to all the lower
No,
tiers.
seriously,
and the
maybe we
city.
could send something to them. All right. Our next item is we've already done that. CAO, Carolyn, it's yours, the strategic plan.
Thank you, Worship. Council may recall quite some time ago, we did meet as a group to look at refreshing our official plan, our strategic plan. My apologies, my planner hat is coming through. Since that time, we did have a lot of things going on, as council may be aware of. And so this was kind of put on the back burner, I'm afraid. But I did take it out and dust it off and take a look at what came out of that meeting as far as what we included, changes we made, and look at updating it to do a refresh. It isn't a complete redo by any stretch of the imagination. The existing mission and vision remains as is, with the thought that those could be updated in future. But just to ensure that they're meeting and reflecting the current situation that we're facing, and that staff are moving forward in a direction when we're working on things like our new official plan, working on next year's budget, working on economic development, all of those things that we're following in a path that council would like to see us go in. So this is truly just a refresh. I didn't utilize our wonderful services of our economic development department to make this fancy and look pretty yet. if if council has the opportunity to look at it and provides comments, I can then bring back a final version that could look like that we then could share publicly. But for the moment, my aim was just to reflect the vision that council provided through our session that when we met together, and to update it so that we have a cleaner, clearer copy to move forward with some of our projects we're working on for 2025. And then with the intent to continue to utilize it, and as we move forward to implement some goals coming out of it as the year progresses. So I'm here to get your thoughts, comments on it, and see how you want to move forward at this point.
Okay.
Mhm.
Questions from council, comments? Councilor Nelson?
My question is for the CAO. So is council done with this process? Because I thought at our last meeting, we were going to meet again, but apparently we're not.
We could certainly do so. That's an option. What I did was take all of all of the additions, deletions, and comments that were received that date and incorporate them in the document you have in front of you. And that's what turned out. So if you feel that now that you see that in front of you, that it needs an additional session, we can certainly do that. If you like what came out of it, we could accept this and move forward with it as is, or something else. Because of the time frame in between and how far we're getting into the term, I wasn't sure how council wanted to proceed at this point, but I still, in talking with some members of council, thought it was useful to at least bring it back and try to finalize this as soon as we can.
In reading your report, one of the things that I recall that you specified was that you would be continuing to restart this process with the next term of council. Is that a commitment that you're making?
Yes, of course. I believe every time that a new council is elected, that this is one of the first things that the council should be doing. Because I put my planner hat back on for a second. When a planner is looking at something, they need to have a guiding document. An official plan is for them. For a council and your staff, this should be your guiding document. This should guide how we are moving ahead with all of our projects moving forward. So I'd like to see the mission and the vision reviewed at that time, and all of the strategic priorities at that time as well.
Well, if you're committing to that, then I'm comfortable with what you've offered today.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Other comments, questions? Councilor Irwin?
Are we looking for a motion, your worship?
Okay, you make a motion
I'll move.
removing the report. Seconder, Deputy Mayor Hodgins. Other discussion on it? Yes, Councilor Keel?
So we are not having another meeting on this, or are we waiting for the new, or the next term of council?
At this point in time, unless you ask for one, I have not scheduled one. So there would not be a further meeting. What I would actually be doing is taking this and asking Felicia possibly to take some of her wonderful photographs and turn this into something that's a little more community friendly, and having it available to individuals at our website as well as to staff, that we can work from going forward. And then we could develop some goals out of this that we can bring back to council.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments? We have a motion in front of us to accept this report. In favor? Carried. Carried. Thank you. Next, I believe it is committee reports. And rather than going through them, we don't have any recommendations or anything on them. Anyone wish to report on these committees? No, seeing none. Correspondence? Councilor Irwin? Okay, is there a seconder for that? Councilor Daigle? All in favor? Other and urgent business? The Bogline Smoke Show Agreement, Brandon.
So Mayor, members of council, this is just a standard agreement. It is the first one with Bogline Smoke Show. As you'll recall, they came, did a delegation. I followed with a staff report. So this agreement just kind of outlines what we had talked about through that staff report. So it is a 3-year term for them. If there's any questions on it, I'm here to answer. But otherwise, it'd be received as information.
Okay, thank you. Questions, Councilor Canellis?
So are we committed to providing the Park Hill Sports Complex for the next 3 years?
Through the mayor to the councillor, that is correct.
In the event that we have huge numbers of people coming, can we accommodate that many people? Because what I'm concerned that it's going to get another bacon fest.
So through the mayor to the councillor, we will work with them annually to make sure that it's something that we can actually control. That's a big part of it. They have to submit their plan annually. We sit down annually, we go through the event, our causes of concern, we identify them. And then if we don't feel comfortable, we will force them to amend it. They still have to come to staff and still go through that process. It's just that agreement will not change in terms of pricing set out and that we are committed to this event.
Very well.
We can work on the other things as we go.
Okay, thank you.
Other comments, questions? Brandon, I look forward to this event. It's a new event in town and of course, old cars and food. That works pretty much down my alley. So no, I do look forward to this event. It does look like a fun new event. Pardon me? Yeah, I do too. I think it's a great idea. So yeah, so we need a motion. Moved by Councillor Nerda, seconded by Councillor Irwin. All in favor? Carried.
Under other business, I have an item,
Okay.
if I may.
Yeah, just give me a second.
Okay.
Okay, any other business? Go ahead, Councillor Canellison.
Thank you. This is other business. I have an item. In looking at Felicia's beautiful report here, one of the things that stood out for me was communication with staff. And a lot of people call me over the years, and Mayor Rob, you will recall, we actually had a communication committee that completed a report that no one could find. Okay. So what is our strategy? What is our commitment here in terms of responding to residents' concerns and calls that we receive from our ratepayers?
I think that would be for the CAO.
It is for the CAO.
Thank you, Your Worship, and through the councillor. Certainly within our policy, if I remember correctly, we must return our calls to our ratepayers within 2 business days. I believe that is standard. And I would certainly expect all of our staff to do that, if not exceed that. If you can't answer the question, I would always ask staff to get back to the ratepayer or the individual and provide them an update as you go along. But that is the standard practice of a 2-day turnaround.
Well, that's what I had anticipated that you would say, and I was hoping that it would happen. In the event that that does not happen, what recourse do our ratepayers have to express their concerns?
Any ratepayer is always open to contact myself, and some do on occasion. Or sometimes when they send their request out, they do send it to a few people, sometimes even members of council. When they do get myself involved, I'll always respond that I've received it, and send it out if a department head is involved, to that department head to also then respond as well. But they do get a response from me that I have received it, that I'm looking into it right away.
Thank you.
Any other business, Councillor Nerda?
Thank you, Mayor Rob. I don't know who this question's for, either our clerk or for our CAO. I've had a couple residents this week contact me again about parking on Hastings and Pearl Street in front of the church we have there. Residents are concerned with the amount of parking. There seems to be they don't have enough parking spaces in their own parking lot, which makes them park on the side of the boulevards, which are heavily damaged. And with the wet weather and warm weather, it's only going to get worse. There's no parking signs, but they seem to not be enforced. What are we going to do about this?
Through your worship, our bylaw officer has been reaching out to conduct a initial de-escalation and conversation with the group that's using the property on the weekends. I don't have an update on that right now, but bylaw officer has been dealing with a lot of the parking issues this week.
Thank you.
Other business, Councillor, who had their hand up? Councillor Irwin, you think you had?
Thank you, Your Worship. I just want to congratulate the mayor. Today, the province has identified him as a strong mayor as effective May 1st. And I'm looking forward to our future working relationship.
Apparently, there was an announcement I just got from Rob Flack that North Middlesex was included in that. Strong mayor. I gotta find out more about it, but,
All frivolity aside, your worship, I mean, it is an issue for our communities and moving forward. We had a conversation. I appreciate your response previously.
but I do want to say on that, that this is still a council. We're all elected officials. And I'll go on record as saying I'm not really in favor of strong mayors. That happening, especially in these smaller communities. We are all representing people that we know, and I expect to continue working that way. Okay, I don't expect it to change with Councillor Canellis and then Councillor Daigle. Sorry,
My question is for Brandon.
I know.
Don't laugh, it's serious. We had a discussion earlier in the week, I believe, and I think I shared with you that I've made a call to one of our local businesses to hire a lot of our local people here in terms of their heavy trucks going down Sylvan Road. And advised that the owner of the business that it's a half load limit now. So my question for you is, how are we enforcing that?
Through your worship to the councillor, so half load would be enforced through bylaw and provincial police.
So bylaws goes out and watches these guys, or?
It would go up probably complaint, but I'd have Alan or comment on the bylaw end of that end. But yeah, it would be more that. It's still a highway traffic act too.
Okay. Alan, are you gonna send people out?
Through your worship, the manager's description was actually quite accurate. It's the OPP would be the primary reaction point right now.
And who contacts the OPP?
Anybody.
Yeah, I believe complaint driven. I would say so that if a resident is seeing or seeing something, I think that would be the first call and the best call.
Okay.
Councillor Daigle. Your microphone went off again.
There it is. My question goes back to the earlier planning report we got on Carlisle area where a ratepayer was worried about her water pressure, sounding that it's an issue in the Carlisle area. It's the first I've ever heard of them having water issues and of being able to maintain pressures. Do we need to look into this?
Through your worship to the council, the verbiage that was carried in what I provided to Ashley was that when this does move further forward and they do get into engineering and reporting, that is what they're going to have to do. They'll have to do hydrant flow testing and they'll have to look at pressures in the system to look at if there is a pressure issue or not. So it will be determined before anything proceeds in that regard.
Thank you.
But that's on the person doing it. That's not on us.
That's correct, yes.
Thank you. Just confirming.
But we should know if there's
Oh.
pressure issues in the area too for the customers that are already there.
Through your worship, that's the first complaint I've certainly heard. But yeah, we'll certainly see what comes out of that planning report and if there is anything that is of concern.
Thank you.
Okay, any other business? Ralph?
Thank you, Your Honor. Your worship. At the beginning of the meeting, I dropped off each of your spots a copy of the final budget. It is almost identical to the draft budget, except a few words changed from draft to final, the word proposed removed. But you will find that when you pop this into slot 2 of your budget book, which I'm sure all of you have safely kept at home, although we are looking to see if we can get you a bookcase in the boardroom so that you can keep them here and make them handy so you don't have to remember to haul them back and forth, especially if I surprise you with a report you weren't expecting, like tonight. When you go through this, you will be able to find that all of the amendments that we discussed on the 3rd and approved have been incorporated, and it does still retain a 2.69 increase in the rate as directed. So there is some slight movement in a few of the lines based on the recommendations. You'll notice that the Park Hill landfill transfer station is revised, but still balances out to the same numbers it did before. And it matches more closely with the report you received tonight on that endeavor. And if you happen to forget your binder anytime that you require one, there is a spare for public use that'll be available at the front counter. So if the public, as previously mentioned, aren't quite savvy to find it online, they can come into the front counter and get access to the book there.
So I would just add to that, Ralph, if I can, we're going to have a shelf there. I'm going to keep a copy of the budget, the strategic plan when it's done, the fire master plan, any of these things we've done, I'm going to keep a copy in there. So they'll be in the boardroom. Okay.
If I add to that, if there's any other resources members of council would like us to keep, a copy of the building code, anything else, municipal act, planning act, any of those things we could have for you as well.
Oh, last thing I have, for all of you who never pick up your mail that was in that boardroom, it's now going to be right across the hallway. So it's only like 6 steps to go get your mail now. So it should be easier to get.
It's on the floor, but right where it will be hung on the wall. It's there currently. Thanks to
We'll
you.
put an arrow by it to show that that's where it is. Okay, is there any other business? No other business? Deferred items, communications, including county council. Any questions on that? No questions, Councilor Canellison?
I just want to make a comment that it's unfortunate that the Park Hill and Lost Craig has lost a Huron Shores Transit, but low ridership, I guess that's the results of not using it.
Correct. And there'll be a report coming out that the county transit is funded fully till August and they're looking to have that carried over. So, but yes, that's the report from there. Any other questions on that? No? Reading of the bylaws.
Thank you, Your Worship. That bylaws 31 of 2025, 32 of 2025, 33 of 2025, and 34 of 2025 be read first and second time.
Councilor Daigle, Deputy Mayor Hodgins, all in favor? Carried. And third and final, Councilor Nerda, Councilor Daigle, all in favor? Carried. Right? I need a motion to go into closed, and that is for the meeting, just 2 minutes and section 239(2)E litigation. Councilor Daigle, Councilor Nerda, all in favor? Carried.